coming behind the limousines with the family. Please, as soon as the service is over, please pull up in front of the building here with your headlights and flashing lights on, so you may be lined up in the Levaya for us to process to Mount Nebo in Totowa, New Jersey. It's on Totowa Road in Totowa, New Jersey. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly rise.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rabbi Todd Chisner. I'm the rabbi here at Temple Judea. And allow me to express my condolences. I had the privilege of getting to know Len to some extent. Certainly on occasion here at Temple, on the High Holy Days, by the way, Len and Mary Lou, when Mary Lou was living, they would sit right over there, one of the back rows on that side, together as a one family. Of course, at Mary Lou's passing, I had the chance to not only get to know Len even better, but his amazing, incredible family. I will never forget sitting with the family on that terrace outside. There were so many people that we had to have some beach chairs. There were some people to sit on, and I sat and listened and just felt this incredible love of this family. And so again, my heart goes out to each of you. So allow me to begin in the traditional ways that we mourn, or we begin the mourning process with the words of King David's Psalms. When we think about the Psalms, why these in particular? Well, because we hear the words of a person who was in need at that time, and he turned inward for this strength to get him through that moment. And in addition to reaching into his own strength, he did turn to a faith and a belief in life eternal. And so I say these words as a source of comfort, hopefully, to each of you. Adonai ro'i lo echsar binoteshi arbitzeni al mei menuchot yinahaleni nafshi shovev yancheni b'maglei tzedek lema'an shemo gam ki elech begates hamavet lo irara ki ata imadi shiftechal mishantecha man yinachamuni ta'aroch lefanai shulchan neged sororai deshamta b'shemen roshi kosi revaya ach tov v'chesed yirfuni kol yemei chayai v'shafti b'veit Adonai la'orech Yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And let us say, Amen. as we say, the soul of Leonard Joel Kresh, Yosef Leib ben Moshe Vitvora, has entered into that other realm. We also acknowledge other loved ones who have also passed on, his parents, Dorothy and Morris, his wife, Mary Lou, his son, Kenneth, his significant other after Mary Lou passed away, Norma, his brother-in-law, Edwin, and other family members who live on as blessed memories. May all of their memories be for a blessing. I hope I didn't miss anyone. Okay. King David, in his beautiful words, is really speaking about life. Yes, he's making reference to life eternal, but if we listen carefully to his words, it's about the ups and downs of life here. The lying by the grass, by the waters, but also sitting at a table with enemies, facing everything that you can in life with your head held high and going forward. Goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. It is said that one of the attributes that King David had was that people surrounded him. Can't help but think of that image when I think of Len and Mary Lou. I think about this family, them being at the center and the heart of this family, living life completely and fully. And so I ask God to send comfort to each of you, daughters, sons-in-law, and daughter-in-law, Kathy and Ken, Jody and Ross and Cindy. May God comfort each of you. Grandchildren, Danny and Becca, Jake and Katie, Sam and Jamie, Rachel and Cormac, Rob and Haley. Great-grandchildren, Emma and Aiden. Sister Carol, brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Jerry and Roz. May God comfort each of you. And again, I hope I did not miss anyone. Let me know if I did. Okay. So, a few words about my connection with Len. We're going to be hearing from grandchildren and children, and I just wanted to reflect my own comments, if that's okay. So I don't often get asked by an individual to speak with them shortly before they pass away. Someone who has essentially full mental faculties. And Len wanted to speak with me 2 weeks ago. So Kathy and I communicated. We arranged a time. And Kathy gave me one little kind of like caveat, and I hope it's okay I'm sharing this, that she said, Dad is not really so much of a believer, someone of faith. Believer in the Jewish people, believer in Israel, but not necessarily someone who believes in life after death. So maybe that's why he wants to talk with you. It was not the reason why he wanted to talk with me. I was not changing his mind on that. So we sat down, the two of us, alone, and the first thing he did was ask me to officiate at his funeral. I was so filled with a sense of honor that he wanted me to be in this position. It was a bit overwhelming. I took that opportunity to then ask him some questions that I could use at this moment to share some information, questions that you would never ask someone otherwise, if you might imagine. And what he said kind of blew me away. And it made me realize this. I'm a believer. I have faith in life eternal. But there are many people who choose that view, that faith, because they believe that there is something better afterwards. I have a feeling that Len didn't need to believe in that because there was nothing better than here with this family. He was 100% certain And I don't know that we can say that about too many people who are just so genuinely clear about what is real, and what they have. So I'm just going to access my notes. Just give me one moment. So I asked him about his career as a doctor, a gastroenterologist, and he said he absolutely loved his work. Was passionate about his patients, was passionate about being a doctor, wanted to know and learn everything that there was to be able to provide all the proper care, and at times was his family's doctor as well. I asked him, what do you think your family members will say about you? Again, not something we generally say to one another. And he said without hesitation, my family will say that they love me. That is not something I have ever doubted or I would ever wonder about. I am crazy about my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids. I'm proud of all of them. I asked him what advice he would want to give, that he would want to share with each of you. And he said in his kind of matter-of-fact way, again, I would almost describe Len as the most uncomplicated person that I've ever met. It was what it was with him, right? And yet, it should be that way with all of us. His advice was, do as well as you can, like people, be happy, and love each other. I want us to think for a moment for ourselves about what it means to have a full life, what it means to have that sense that we have accomplished the goal, so to speak. And by the way, Len still wanted to live more. He still had other things to look forward to. I think that's one, to always have things to look forward to, especially when it comes to your family. To be genuine to the people that are around you because they pick up on those nuances, right? Speak your truth. I can't say that I knew him so well, but at the same time, I felt that he always spoke his truth. Which is a modern New Age way to say he was just being honest. But he happened to be such a good and kind person that there wouldn't be anything else that would come out. But if he did need to say something that wasn't, I don't know, just roses, he could say that too. And how rare it is for us in this day and age to be able to speak without having to worry about every little thing that we say. And so I hope we all take a little bit of that into ourselves. So I'm going to pause here. I did say to Len, it's okay that you don't believe. I believe. And I do believe that, but I said, but I can't prove it to you. And he was, again, insistent. I was not changing his mind, but I wasn't trying to change his mind. But I did say to him, I believe. And I do believe you will be reunited with loved ones. And most importantly, I do believe that your family will be okay. That was his biggest concern, that your family will be okay because of the love that you gave to them and the strength that you instilled in each and every one of them. Let his memory be for a blessing, and let us say, Amen. So, I'm not exactly sure if we're with the order, but do you want the grandchildren to come up first? Okay. The grandchildren coming up together like you did at your grandmother's? Stand together. Even if you speak independently, that's okay. Oh, by the way, we are live streaming. If nobody has that contact right now, that's okay. It'll make a recording of it, and this way you can share it with people, the link afterwards, which I can share with the family.
Thank you, Rabbi. Those were beautiful words. And thank you, everyone, for being here today to honor and celebrate the life of our Papa. I got that dreaded call from my mom Wednesday morning while I was at the doctor's office. Katie and I were there for her 32-week checkup. My mom let me know that Papa had passed. As I digested the news that I always knew was coming but never wanted to arrive, Katie's doctor walked in and performed an ultrasound so that we could hear our baby's heartbeat. As I sat there, I couldn't help but think about the circle of life. As one enters the afterlife, another is born into this life. Papa would probably disagree with this analysis, but all of us know that this new entrant will have some gigantic shoes to fill. I had the benefit of spending a good amount of time with Papa in the later stages of his life. Anytime we'd see each other, he would remind everyone in the room of two things. One, that I was his best, oldest grandson, a badge of honor I wore and will continue to wear proudly throughout my life. And two, that he always remembered me as a young boy in my little yellow raincoat and shooting baskets inside my parents' apartment at 420 East Ohio, screaming obscenities whenever I missed a shot. Whenever he mentioned these memories, it seemed like it took him back to a happier place. Anyone who spent time with Papa over the past few months knows that there were some good days and some bad days. No matter what type of day he was having, these memories always seemed to bring a smile to his face. Speaking of bringing a smile to Papa's face, I would be remiss if I neglected to mention Papa's golf game and in the conclusion of his eulogy. I've given him grief about it in every celebratory birthday and anniversary speech I've made over the years. And I know it's wrong to kick a man when he's down, but it wouldn't feel right not to mention the joy that it brought me to be out on the golf course with him, or sarcastically speaking about how close he was at earning his spot on the Senior PGA Tour. Papa's passing leads to some good news. For anyone playing golf on a nearby fairway at Harbor Links or down on the Hunter's Run, you are now safe. You may not find as many balls when you go fishing in the water hazard, but Papa's golf ball will now be flying long and straight, high above in the clouds. I love you, Pops. May your memory be a blessing.
There's plenty of chairs over
My Papa Lenny was the kind of person who made you feel safe by just being there. This past Sunday, I came in for the day for what I knew was likely my last time I would get to see him. And I'll never forget the way he squeezed my hand. Even in his most fragile state, on what was a pretty bad day, he was still so present and so full of quiet strength. This was on full display the summer I interned in New York about 10 years ago. My Papa and Grandma Mary Lou invited me to their house to escape the demands of my investment banking job. They were anxiously waiting at the Manhasset stop to pick me up. The train came and went, but I was nowhere to be found. Turns out I fell asleep and ended up at the last stop on the line. And anyone who knows my Papa knows that he didn't enjoy unanticipated deviations from a plan. But nevertheless, they made the hike to come and pick up their zombie of a grandson. Even though it was late, Papa still stopped to grab me a slice of pizza from Vincent's because he knew it was my favorite. And when we got home, I fell asleep for 24 hours. Papa actually had to come in the room to check to make sure I was still breathing. But that was my Papa, always there for the ones he cared and loved about. What I'll cherish most, though, is that he got to meet my wife, Jamie, and our kids, his great-grandkids. He held them with the same tenderness he gave all of us. Emmy and Aiden lit him up, and I think they brought out a bit of the twinkle in his eye that we all remember so well. On our last visit with him, Emmy decided that his walker was actually a roller coaster and proceeded to zoom around the room as Papa was laughing from his chair. And he got the chance to tenderly hold our little Aiden, who was absolutely at home in his arms, a moment that Jamie and I will never forget. I feel so lucky that our children got to know him, and even luckier that they'll carry pieces of him forward. I'm so grateful I have the honor of calling him my grandfather. We'll miss Papa Lenny forever, that's a given. But his love, his humor, and his unwavering presence live on in all of us. We love you, Papa, and will carry you with us forever.
There's no simple way to sum up a life, especially not a life as meaningful as Papa's. Papa was many things: wise, kind, and always caring for others. He showed his love over the years in so many ways. It was often the little things that made the greatest impact on me. The way that he made the best fruit bowls with every piece of fruit cut just right, not too big, not too small, like a tiny work of art. The way he spent hours over the phone helping me with my chemistry and physics homework, never losing patience. And I'm sure it doesn't surprise you that when working with Papa, we always got perfect scores. And the way he made the most awesome challah French toast, perfectly crisp on the outside, soft on the inside, always made with love. All these actions, while small, stick with me today and are things I think about when I think about Papa. I have always felt so loved by Papa. He never failed to show up with a big grin and a bigger hug. Just 10 days after hernia surgery last year, at the age of 90, he was dancing at my wedding in Chicago. Family was everything to him. It's hard to say goodbye, but I take comfort in knowing that his love lies on, in the memories we carry, in the values he instilled in us, and in the way we treat others going forward. If I can live my life with even a fraction of his kindness and devotion, I'll know I'm honoring his memory. I love you, Papa. I'll never forget your fruit bowls, your French toast, or long talks over my homework, and most of all, the way you made me feel truly loved.
Hi, everyone. Most everyone here, I think, knows me and knows that I don't often struggle to find the words to express myself, but this time it genuinely has been a struggle. And in part, that's probably because I'm studying for the bar exam and my brain is so full of many legal rules and it hurts. But I do actually think that connects a little bit to why I'm struggling to find the words for Papa. When I got the call on Wednesday, I started thinking back about all the memories that I have with Papa, that we all have with Papa, but not just the memories. I started thinking about the impact that he has had on me, on my dad, on my immediate family, on all of us, everyone in this room today, and everyone around him throughout his whole life. The pure volume of everything that came to my mind was just staggering. And, it was really hard to know where to start. But of course, we have to, and we want to, because he deserves that from us. So ultimately, the best way that I think I could put it is that I know I wouldn't be me if Papa wasn't Papa. All the values, the work ethic, the perseverance, and the love that I aspire to, and I aspire to try to live out in my own life, all of that, in very significant part, I can trace directly to Papa. I can trace it to what he showed me throughout my childhood and throughout my budding adulthood. Can I still say budding adulthood? I'm 27, I'm not sure. No, but look, this is a sad day. There's no doubt about that. We are all going to miss him so much. But it's also the first day of opening up our book of memories with Papa that we all have. I mean, I know all the cousins Up here, we can look back to our visits to New York, spending time with him and Grandma Mary Lou, or him and Norma, going to shows and to baseball games, getting together as a whole big family when he would bring us together every year. And we're going to always remember the way he poured his heart and soul into doing everything for his family. So today, more than anything, I'm just grateful for every moment that I got with Papa and every moment that we all did, and for the way that he will live on in all of us. Love you, Papa.
Papa taught me the importance of taking what you do seriously without taking yourself too seriously. Throughout my childhood, he emphasized the value of working hard in school. This was something I was not very good at until recently. Papa didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk. He worked in a shoe factory as a kid. He made house calls at all hours of the day and night after he graduated med school, and at the same time, he never took himself too seriously. And he passed that outlook on to us. Whether he was introducing us to his very real horse Silver and his sidekick Tonto, who just happened to live in the back of his apartment building in Jamaica and were fed by Nana Dora, or teaching us to leave a trail of breadcrumbs on our way home, on the way to a destination so we can find our way home. He reminded us that it's okay and even necessary to laugh at ourselves. Papa lived by this mantra and shared it with everyone around him. Ultimately, he showed us the importance of being a well-rounded person. Papa was someone that could enjoy My Cousin Vinny and The Wizard of Oz. These were both movies that he introduced me to, and I remember fondly watching with him. Papa, thank you for all you taught me. I love you.
Since the age of 6, I knew that I wanted to be a doctor, but in retrospect, the person I most wanted to be was Papa. While Papa's medical knowledge, advice, and the occasional Z-Pack came in handy, it was the steadfast support, compassion that he cared for our family, and especially my Grandma Mary Lou and later Norma, that reaffirmed this dream. Papa made each of his patients, children, and grandchildren feel special. When I was little, he gave me a special nickname, Good as Gold. In recent days, I learned that this phrase means completely genuine and well-behaved. He taught us that being good as gold isn't about perfection, it's about being genuine, kind, and unwavering in your love. That was Papa. As we carry his memory forward, we all strive to live with the same quiet dignity, deep compassion, and wry smile he gave so generously. Papa, you were good as gold. We love you. May your memory be for a blessing.
Hello. Until I was old enough to make the drive myself, I always thought the trip from Long Island to New Jersey was quick and easy. That's because Papa made it seem that way. He never complained, whether he was coming for Shabbat dinner or to watch one of my games. He just showed up like it was nothing. I think about the time he sat through a 6-hour volleyball tournament while my mom was out of town. I told him he didn't have to stay the whole time. I'm not even sure he understood the rules, but he stayed anyway. Or the time we were late for a show in the city, and he dropped Grandma and me off at the theater so we wouldn't miss the beginning. It wasn't until much later that I realized he must have missed the start himself. But at the time, I didn't think twice, because that's just what Papa did, and I'm sure I slept the entire way there and back. He had a way of putting everyone else first. Always steady, always kind, always asking, "How's the baby doing?" with a hug and a smile. I'll carry his example with me for the rest of my life, and I hope to show up for the people I love the way he always did for us. Love you, Papa.
Thank you all for being here with us. I have had the unique and wonderful experience in life to be blessed with truly one-of-a-kind, inspiring, brilliant, loving, nurturing, and energetic in-laws. The quote, fun couple was always up for doing pretty much anything, and it was indeed challenging to get a spot in their social calendar, even being married to their son, which early on I wrongly assumed would have given him some extra pull, but it didn't. Mary Lou and Lynn genuinely welcomed activities of many kinds with many people and truly loved both intellectually stimulating experiences and sillier things, such as baking chocolate chip cookies with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, who might just as easily put the batter in the bowl or plop it on the kitchen island and treat it like Play-Doh. During my early years with them, they taught me many lessons about being a good partner and parent. They weren't trying to teach lessons. Ken and I learned by their example. Mom and Dad cared so completely for each other and their family. They respected each other's opinions and listened deeply in conversations. They took time to ask questions, give advice when asked, and left space for us to have our own opinions and thoughts, even when they disagreed. Ken told me one of the things he loved most about his dad when he was a kid was that no matter how busy he was as an on-call doctor, he would come home for dinner and make sure to throw a ball around with Ken before going back to the hospital. He found it inspiring that his dad was so passionate about his profession and completely devoted to his family. Len was a role model to Ken, one that he went on to follow as a devoted partner and incredible father. When Robbie was 3 years old, Len, Ken, Robbie, and I were at a little playground in Montclair, and I took a picture of the 3 of them. What struck me most about the moment was not how handsome they all were in the picture, but how much love was radiating out of a grandfather for his son and grandson, and a son for his father and little boy. When I say my experience has been unique, I meant because in this family, I started out as a daughter-in-law and a sister-in-law, and I became a daughter and a sister. Losing Ken was devastating to all of us. But Mom and Dad never wavered, and Kathy and Jody never wavered in their determination to love and care for me, Rob, and Haley in every way they possibly could. They helped me to see how life could keep going and to see that there would still be beauty in it. The 3 of us would not be where we are and as strong as we are if it weren't for their love and guidance. My experience is also unique because Dad and I were able to have some thoughtful conversations about losing a spouse after Mom passed. Conversations that are hard to have with someone who has not shared this experience. But as with everything in life, Dad was a role model. He carried his love for Mom always and showed us the importance of continuing to live, not just survive, even when he felt he couldn't. But he fought. He fought to keep going. He fought for us. His relationship with and love for Norma was so beautiful, and I will forever be grateful they shared many wonderful moments together. It is so hard to think of Dad in the past tense, and I don't think I ever really will. His love and light will shine bright in my life as I know it will in yours, and in all the lives he touched in his 91 years. I wish I had longer, but I am blessed for the 32 years I had. And his spirit will guide me every day. After Ken passed, when I was stuck on something in life, my closest friends would ask me, what would Ken do? It helped me through a lot of difficult times without him. Now we can all ask ourselves, what would Len do? We might not get an answer immediately, but we will certainly find a smile on our faces thinking about a man who truly lived life, gave his all to everything he did, and he was the best son, brother, husband, dad, papa, and friend anyone could ever wish for. Love you always, Dad.
Thank you, everyone, for being here and celebrating Dad's life with us. The poet Philip Larkin wrote, "What will survive us is love. Nobody has loved us like our dad, and our dad couldn't have loved us more. Dad was the best husband, father, father-in-law, brother, uncle, friend, and tutor. Doctor, that anyone could, and he was a really great tutor.
He was a good tutor, too.
That anyone could ask for. Even at the age of 91, he remained the smartest, kindest, and funniest person we've ever known. We were the lucky ones. Dad devoted his life to caring for others, but what made Dad special wasn't just his medical knowledge. It was how he approached his patients, his family, and his friends with warmth, humor, and gentle patience. It was never too early or too late for Dad to answer a phone call, make a house call, or call in a prescription. In recent months, Dad commented, "Never miss an opportunity to be kind to others." He lived every day of his life that way.
Dad worked tirelessly to build his medical practice, but his priority was his family. Growing up, our lives felt charmed. Our days were punctuated by breakfast and dinner as a family. Breakfast was Dad's specialty. Sometimes we were met with a perfectly prepared half grapefruit with the sections already cut out. Our weekends, we feasted on his famous challah French toast made with butter, vanilla, and a pinch of salt. Together, we would eat, talk, and laugh. It was never fancy, but it was everything. Dad was a patient teacher, beloved by residents at the hospital, but most especially at home. A talented athlete, he trained Ken to pitch and coach, and even coached his Little League team, intent on living up to Ken's assertion that his dad could hit a baseball over the roof of the house next door. Dad was our science tutor before tutors became a way of life. We learned mass and volume with Laughing Cow cheese cubes and then ate the spoils. Who could foresee that 50 years later, he would teach the same concepts to his grandchildren by telephone?
Weekends with Dad meant fun. Tennis was a regular thing. Dad had solid skills, even if Ken was the family champ. Weekend trips with Dad to Shea Stadium to watch the amazing Mets when Mom was writing her thesis also were a favorite, with the three of us slathered in suntan lotion, sunglasses, and baseball caps with ice cream cones in hand that generally ended up all over us. Teaching us to score the games, Dad instilled in us a love of baseball. To this day, the Mets' 1969 World Series championship remains a childhood highlight. Dad was our protector, caring for us like no other. He was the doctor who cured our sore throats and fevers, and the dad who drove the early morning and late night carpools, ensuring that we would arrive home safely. When we were teenagers, and even adults, Dad never slept until we were safely tucked in bed. It was adorable, probably not as a teenager though, to pull into the driveway of our house and look up. Their bedroom window was just over the driveway. And to see my father peeking out of the bedroom curtains, waiting for us to arrive, no matter what time of night. And I really mean that.
Yeah.
We would arrive sometimes. We would drive from Maryland, and sometimes we didn't even leave till 8 or 9 at night. 2 in the morning, and there he was greeting us at the top of the stairs or after being at the window.
No memories of our past with Dad are complete without Mom. Later dubbed the fun couple by their grandchildren, Dad and Mom loved the arts and travel. They filled our childhood with experiences that will remain with us forever. Living in New York, we enjoyed Broadway shows, the Nutcracker, the Rockettes, museums, and stops at Serendipities for frozen hot chocolate. Family vacations out west, skiing in Vermont, and schlepping through every museum known to mankind in Paris and London were just how we rolled. Closer to home in his later years, Dad was happy to shop with Mom and do errands with us, always finding a nearby seat, which he would refer to as the schmuck bench, where he would sit and read and wait until he was asked for an opinion. Near or far, Dad and Mom taught us to appreciate every moment and every place, big or small. It did not matter where we went, but the indelible memories of the times we had together was the glue that bonded our family ties. As adults, we were blessed to have Dad and Mom so present in our lives, whether it was Rosh Hashanah in New York, Thanksgiving in New Jersey, Passover in Chicago, Mother's Day in Washington, gatherings in Rehoboth Beach, or family vacations to Jamaica or Mexico. We always found time to be together. We talked to them every morning, promptly at 9 a.m., and loved visiting Dad and Mom in New York. Dad was always waiting for us at LaGuardia, right before baggage claim, waving both arms excitedly, followed by a quick stop at Vincent's Pizza before heading home. Even as his congestive heart failure worsened, Dad remained excited to travel to us as well. Not more than 6 weeks ago, he spent the day at the DMV applying for a non-driver's real ID so that he could fly to Chicago to meet his new great-grandchild who's due in September. Always present and involved, we felt as though Dad was just around the corner, no matter where we were living.
Just a quick note about that. They didn't give him the real ID because his signature on his passport didn't match his signature on the application because the signature on his passport was from about 8 years ago. He wanted to apply for a new passport. He was going to Chicago. Dad had a 65-year love affair with Mom that most people could only wish for. They met young, introduced by Aunt Carol. Mom was 15, Dad was 18, and they just knew. Married 4 years later, they built a life together filled with the love of their 3 children and their spouses, 7 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren, with another on the way. Together, Dad and Mom survived the most unthinkable tragedy, the loss of our brother Ken. Through it all, Dad stayed strong, not just for himself, but for all of us. When Mom became ill, Dad was by her side, caring for her every hour of every day, knowing, loving, patient, and confident. We cannot imagine a more true love. After we lost Mom, Dad had the great fortune of having a beautiful 6-year romance with Norma. Norma brightened up every day. Together they golfed, socialized with friends, went to movies and shows, shared meals, and even rode bicycles. Dad had a big red tricycle that he loved to ride around Hunter's Run, and he did so with pride. Norma kept Dad young, active, and happy. We are so grateful for the short time they had together and the relationships we now have with Laura, Hal, and Steve and their extended family. As a grandfather, Papa was the best. Dad didn't just hang out with his grandkids, he connected with them. They roasted him on his 80th birthday and regaled him with Jimmy Fallon-type thank you notes on his 90th. Whether it was taking them to museums, Gettysburg, Mount Vernon, arcades, or accidentally to see inappropriate movies. Generally, Mom's head, literally, we were sitting there, Mom's head was in her hands while the kids were simply rolling and hysterically laughing, and he was laughing all along with them. He just wanted to be part of their world, and they loved him for it. Dad had a different bond with each grandchild, always finding a way to meet them where they were in time or place.
It is in his grandchildren that Dad's legacy lives on. Jake has his love of golf, but not his mishaps, having never driven a golf cart into a lake. Sam shares his interest in finance, but fortunately has an ironclad stomach. Rachel has his empathy, his ability to listen without her ability to listen without judgment and love unconditionally. Robbie has his brilliant mind and intellectual curiosity. Becca, following in his footsteps to become a doctor, shares Dad's gentle demeanor and dedication to helping others and healing others. Danny has his quiet strength, steady, kind, and always showing up when it counts. And Healy has his light heart and sense of humor, the ability to make people feel at ease with just a smile or a well-timed joke, though Dad's were often a bit off color. Dad also taught us about love and family, what it means to be there for one another, no matter what or when. His last wishes were to be beside Mom for eternity, for his children and grandchildren to be happy and healthy, and his daughters to remain close and hold the family together.
Dad, our days are unimaginable without you. You made us who we are and filled our lives with love and laughter. You will live on in every one of us. May your memory be for a blessing. Rest in peace. We love you. We also, these were obviously remarks that we prepared, but we want to thank everybody around us here for all your love and support. The last couple of months have been difficult, and we couldn't have done it without you, without all of you, and thank you.
And we'd like to especially thank his caregivers as well. Glenn and Philip and Marion worked tirelessly, and they were so gentle and kind with him, and for that we were very appreciative.
Treated him with the most beautiful love and respect, and they became part of our family too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's up to him. It's up to you. Not up to me. The question is that the cemetery is in New Jersey, and it's a bit of a time issue, but of course Ken's words are very important, and no, seriously, I didn't mean to say, that sounded wrong.
Famous last words. If you didn't hear that, there's no self-service in the doghouse. I really deeply loved Len Kresh. He was a good man. He was a role model for me. The way he related to his wife, Mary Lou, his children, Ken, Jody, and my loving wife, Kathy, our twins, Becca and Danny. He was the most caring, loving person I've ever been privileged to know. When the sudden tragedy of losing Ken occurred, he increased his role in emotionally supporting his daughter-in-law, Cindy, and their two young children, Robbie and Haley, who were left without a dad. Cindy was considered by him his third daughter, and the relationship blossomed through the years. Len's relationship with his 7 grandchildren left a permanent impression on me and served as a goal for me as a grandfather myself. Len always asked how my older kids were, and on several occasions helped them with their specific medical needs. Len probably was the smartest person I've ever known. He literally appeared to know everything about everything. I cannot recall any question about so many topics that he didn't respond with a knowledgeable answer. Even in these past difficult months that he endured, he was almost on top of his game, whether it was medication, what medications and dosages to use, how the Mets were doing. He was a CNN addict, always aware of current events with an opinion of what was going on in today's world. This is an uncanny ability to keep up with the online bridge and doing Sudoku. Amazing man. He had a New York sense of humor that frequently had me laugh to his comments. His response to cold calls was very pointed and very funny, which I cannot actually tell you what it is. He had a table full of grandchildren hysterically laughing when he described how he handled those calls. Len knew men's clothing, which brands were the best, what colors and styles. He passed this knowledge on to Kathy, and I was definitely the beneficiary. His closet had quite the array of fine suits, sports jackets, shirts, polos, and always folded or hung in perfect order. Len was always on top of whose birthday was when and sent a card and gift on each time. He was always on time. He was very aware of time. Even these past months, he didn't forget birthdays and anniversaries. Kathy and I want to learn golf someday, and Len has given me some instruction, couching his words with telling me he was not that good at golf. I once played tennis with him. He was much more skilled than I was. He loved to learn, continuing to take courses at local colleges in Florida. Some of my fondest memories of Florida, including sitting down with Len and Uncle Jerry sipping gin and tonics on Jerry's back porch. While on the subject of gin and tonics, I recall one of the many times Len was in the hospital for an overnight stay and he wanted his Xanax medication. The nurse declined, and Len became adamant about getting his Xanax. He threatened that if he didn't get his Xanax, he would go home, unless they would give him a gin and tonic. Of course, he was kidding, and he eventually relented. Len also knew his music. Whenever he was sitting shotgun in my car, which was recently very often, I would play 1950s songs. He smiled, which was not that frequent in recent months, enjoyed listening to them, and actually sang along with them, recalling all the words of the songs. I would often ask special requests, and his most frequent request was for Al Martino. These songs brought back wonderful memories for him. Whenever I had the classical music on my car's radio, Len usually knew what piece was playing and asked me to confirm. I had no idea what was playing, yet he did. Len liked everything a certain way. He recognized that he was at times a little overbearing with regard to this trait and laughed with us when it was brought up. He definitely passed this trait on to my wife. And Len and I had a good laugh about her carrying on in his ways. Becca will be a living legacy to Len. He was her idol and knew that she wanted to follow him into the field of medicine, becoming a physician. This meant so much to Len, he was living to see her white coat ceremony. If there was a Mount Rushmore for fathers-in-law, fathers, and/or grandfathers, Len would definitely be on it. I deeply loved Len and will miss him every day. May his memory be a blessing.
Thank you, Ken. Glad you did speak. And this is really why we're here when you think about it, right? Today, our responsibility is both to provide a proper burial, but to allow this family to begin this process of mourning. On that note, let me just make a couple of announcements. Directly following this part of the funeral service, the burial will take place in New Jersey at Mount Nebo. All of those who are intending on going, of course, will drive together, but it's a long trip, so you might get separated. So put it into your GPS. It's in Totowa. The family has asked that once we arrive at the cemetery and we pull up to the plot, to stay in your cars as it is excessively hot out today. So as the individuals lower the casket into the ground, we'll wait for them to do that and then walk over to the grave. Directly following the conclusion of the burial, the family will be sitting at Len's home in North Shore Towers today when you get back until about 8:30 p.m. tonight, till whenever. And did you decide anything about tomorrow? Nothing, okay. So then the family will then, because everyone lives in different locations, will be sitting in their respective homes subsequent on Sunday. One other announcement, as I mentioned earlier, Len and both Mary Lou were very big supporters of Israel, and if you want to honor Len's memory by allowing his kind of like passion and love to still carry on, one way to do that is to make a contribution to Magen David Adom, or the American Friends of Magen David Adom, which is the Israeli form of the Red Cross. I believe those were all the announcements. Did I miss anything? What's that? Okay, we're good. In a moment, I'm going to say the El Maleh. It'll be the last thing we say before we rise as the casket is walked out by Len's grandchildren, I want to comment on this. I was giving this some thought. I'm going to comment to Len. I know you didn't believe in this respect, which was okay. It was not personally offensive at all, but you were wrong. And this is how I know you were wrong, Len. Because when we get a name, and for boys, it would have been at his bris, at 8 days old, nobody knew you. In fact, your parents picked out a name. Your sister told me what your name was that you were given. Your parents picked out that name not even realizing they were giving you the name that God destined your soul to be. That's how I know. Because your name was Yosef Leb. Yosef means add or increase, and Lev is heart. And I want you to think about everything that each one of you said. His heart was as big as could be. He had lots and lots of heart. And now it's all part of each of yours. And so in this respect, I am certain, as we say these words, God will be receiving his soul, that beautiful soul, in that world to come. So will you please rise? El malei rachamim shochem v'amromim hametzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina im kedoshim utohorim kezohar haragia mazhirim et nishmat Yosef Leb ben Moshe v'Dvorah Shalach la'olamo, bal harachamim yasrehu b'tzeit k'nefav la'olamim, vayitor bitor hachem eneshmato, Adonai hu nachalato v'yanuach b'shalom, al mishkavo, v'nomar, Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Leonard Joel Kresh, Yosef Leb, son of Moshe and Devorah, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in your eternal presence, in the shadow of your wings. Let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. And we call forward the grandchildren who will be walking as pallbearers. Friends, we will go directly to our cars, and those who are heading to the cemetery will please allow them to leave first, so we do not block traffic, if that makes sense to everyone. If you're not heading to the cemetery, please let everyone else who is go first.